Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'll be showing you how to make another YouTuber statue. This time, I'll be showing you how to make StacyPlays. Oh, and by the way, just in case you have any more building related needs, feel free to not only check out the description below, in which I will house all of my tutorial playlists, but if you want to check out the guard system, I'll leave some more specific videos that I think that you guys might get a kick out of. But moving on, if you want to make Stacy, here's what you're going to need. You will need some black wool, grab dark grey wool, light grey, brown. You'll also want to grab yourself some white wool, some dark blue, cyan, and you will also want to grab yourself some black stained clay, and finally grab yourself some white stained clay. Unfortunately, we will need quite a few more materials later on, so yeah, we're just gonna have to grab those as we need them because we've run out of space. Get on it, Minecraft, we need more inventory slots. So once you have each one of those materials right there, and once you've figured out where you want to make her, I'll be making her right here. You're going to want to kick off Stacy with a row of 8 brown wool in a row on the floor. That's 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just like that. And once you have your row of 8 brown wool, you then, for the next row, building directly on top of it, going from left to right, want to do 1 brown, 2 light grey, 2 brown, 2 light grey, 1 brown, like that. Then for the next row, do an entire row of brown wool. Then for the next 10 rows, that's 10 rows guys, you want to do 10 solid rows of dark blue wool. So that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we've just got to fill those in. So that'll probably take us a little while since they're 7 rows of 10 to do, but you know what? It doesn't matter. That's why we're here. Actually, it's not taking so long whatsoever because we're doing it vertically. There we go. That didn't take long at all. I expected it to take longer, but once you have your 10 rows of dark blue wool, for the next row going from left to right, you want to do 3 black wool, 1, 2, 3, 1 light grey, 1 dark grey, 3 black wool. For the next row, we're going to be building this a little bit differently. You know how I usually build these in rows? Well, we're now going to make a couple of individual features and then fill this thing in from there because I think it will be easier. So for the next row, starting from the left-hand side here, you want to do this. Do 2 brown wool coming over to the right, 1, 2. Then go up 1. Then go right 1. Up 1. Right 1. Up 1. Take out your light grey and go right 1. Up 1, right 1, up 1, take out your brown again, go right 1, up 1, right 1, up 1. And once you've done that, you now want to return back to this first brown wool that you placed. On top of this brown wool, do 1 white, 1 cyan, 1 white, 1 cyan. Take out your black stained clay, go up by 5, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then, starting from the top of that row of 5, coming down, do a row of 6 black stained clay, so that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. What you then want to do, guys, is you want to take, coming down from the top, you want to find the third block coming down, so that'll be 1, 2, 3, that's the third block coming down. You want to do 2 black stained clay coming down from that third and fourth block coming out to the right, and then you want to take this bottom block and go right by 1 with your black stained clay. That last bit might have been hard to follow, but it's kind of difficult to explain, but the shape that you want to end up with should look a little bit like this. What you then want to do, guys, is where we have this top right hand black stained clay, so like at the top of this row of 6, you want to go right of it with this. Do 1 white wool followed by 2 white stained clay. That's 1, 2. And what you want to end up with in total, guys, should look a little bit like this. Once you've reached this point right here, this is what you want to do next. And you know what? Move the cyan and the white wool closer together because they're a little bit more cohesive than what we had beforehand. So what you now want to do, guys, starting from the bottom of the empty space that we have on top of the belt, you want to do this. You want to fill the rest of this first row in with cyan, fill the rest of the second row in with white, then the next row with cyan, then the next row in with white, cyan, white, until you eventually reach the top. You just want to do a stripy pattern, and for whatever reason, I thought that this might not only be faster, but a little bit more interesting than building it the conventional way. And what you want to end up with, guys, should look a little bit like this. So once you've reached this part right here, guys, this is what you want to do next. So that is her torso, pretty much complete. Let's move on to her arms. So come all the way up to the top right hand side of your statue where we have this white wall, and you want to go right of this white wall with this sequence of blocks. Do 2 white wall, 1, 2, then 2 cyan. Then coming underneath it, going from left to right, and that's how we're going to do all of this. Coming underneath it, going from left to right, do 2 cyan, 2 white. For the next row, 3 white, 1 cyan. Then for the next row, 3 cyan, 1 white. Then for the next row, an entire row of white. Then an entire row of cyan. An entire row of white. An entire row of cyan. Then an entire row of white, followed by 3 solid rows of white stained clay. That'll be 1, 2, and 3. And what the arm wants to end up looking like should look a little bit like this. And that is StacyPlays arm. Lovely arm, fantastic. It's a little bit more interesting than the regular stripy pattern. Once you've got that taken care of, guys, we now want to do the exact same thing on the opposite side here. So come into the opposite side, starting from this upper left-hand black stained clay this time. You want to do this sequence of blocks. Do 2 white wool, 2 cyan. Then, underneath it, going from left to right, still left to right, guys, you want to do 2 white, 2 cyan. Next row, 1 cyan, 3 white. Next row, do 1 white, 3 cyan, kind of hard to see. Then for the next row, do an entire row of white, then an entire row of cyan, then an entire row of white, an entire row of cyan, an entire row of white, and then you want to do 3 solid rows of white stained clay, so that'll be 1, 2, and 3. That third row should just meet the top of our dark blue wool leg. So what you want to end up with, guys, should look a little bit like this. Once you've got that taken care of, guys, you then want to move on to the next bit. So pause this if necessary if you're still working on any of that, of course, which you may very well be. But once you have got that taken care of, you now want to come all the way around to the back of the statue, come all the way down to the bottom of the feet, take out your brown wool, and take each one of the bottom 2 corners of the statue and extend them coming out of the back of the statue each by 3. So that'll be 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. Then connect each one of those third blocks together, and there you have it. You have the entire base of your statue. What we're now going to do is build up the entire back of the statue on top of these 8 back blocks that we have right here. Then we'll build up the sides, then we'll move on to the head, then we'll be done. So, on top of these 8 brown wool, stack an additional row of brown wool. So you want to have 2 in total. What you then want to do is 11 rows of dark blue wool. That's 11. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And that should just line up with the front of the statue as well. Now we've just got to fill those in. And it turns out that it won't take very long if we just follow this little method here, going up and down rather than left to right. Left to right, for whatever reason, takes a longer amount of time, and I don't know why. And I'm making quite a few mistakes, so we're just going to have to fix those, aren't we? We've got another block on the left there, which just needs knocking out perfect. So what you want to have, 1 row of brown, then 11 rows of dark blue wool. For the next row, do an entire row of black wool. Lovely. For the next row, going from left to right, you basically want to do 7 blocks of cyan, then 1 block of brown wool. Now guys, we're going to need another material, and I'm just very quickly trying to figure out what material we'll never need to see again. So guys, get rid of dark grey wool and replace it with brown stained clay. And you might also want to move the brown stained clay and the brown wool close together because they kind of go together. They're partners. So, moving on. For the next row, you want to go from left to right, do 3 brown stained clay, 1, 2, 3. Then do 3 white wool, 1, 2, 3. Then 2 brown wool. For the next row, 4 brown stained clay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then 1 cyan, then 2 brown wool, 1 cyan. For the next row, do 5 brown clay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then 1 brown wool, 1 brown clay, 1 white wool. For the next row, do 1 cyan, followed by 5 brown clay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then 2 cyan. For the next row, do 2 white wool, followed by 5 brown clay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then 1 white wool. Right? That should be what... Yeah, okay. Yeah, that is... Wait, no. Yeah, it is. Sorry, guys. This is really confusing, but yeah, 2 white wool, 5 brown clay, 1 white wool. For the next row, do 1 cyan, followed by 2 brown wool, then 4 brown clay, 1, 2, 3, 4, then 1 cyan. And for the next row, do 2 brown wool, 2 white wool, then 2 brown clay, then 1 white wool, then 1 light grey. For the next row, do 1 brown wool, then 5 cyan, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then 1 light grey, then 1 cyan. For the final row, do an entire row of white wool. So what you want to end up with, guys, should look a little bit like this. And I know that took me a really long time to make, guys, but oh my god. Was that difficult? It's really hard to see the brown clay in the brown, and it's really hard because the stripes of the back kind of meld into the stripes of the arms. I'm sure that you guys can understand why that was so hard for me, but that is what you want to end up with, guys. Once you've reached this point right here, this is what you want to do next. So we now want to do the backs of the arms. Luckily for us, the backs of the arms are identical to the fronts of the arms, so all you have to do to accomplish this, assuming that you've managed to do the front of the arms, which I'm sure you have, because otherwise you wouldn't be here. All you have to do is copy the fronts of the arms directly onto the back, and I do mean quite literally. Just look directly forward, copy them onto the same position on the back, and you won't have any trouble. There's really nothing too much more to say about that. As a matter of fact, we've almost done the first arm, haven't we? Or at least I have. I hope that you guys are keeping up. So that is the first back of the arm. Why don't we move on to the other back of the arm now? So other back of the arm, like I said, same position, same block, same everything, except it's just on the back of the statues. So just apply exactly what you've already done directly onto the back. Oh god, guys, I'm still a little upset about that quiver. The reason, like I said, I was building that so slow. I was so wary of making any mistakes. I'm glad that I didn't, but yeah, that was kind of difficult. But as you can see, those are the backs of the arms, those are the back of the legs, and that is the actual back of the statue, 100% fully completed. So once you've got that taken care of, guys, we can now move on to the next bit. So the next bit is going to be the size of the statue. Move all the way over to this side of the statue. Once you've got that taken care of course, pause that if necessary if you have to. So moving to the side of the statue, it's actually quite easy. First of all, you just want to make the very first row of the side of the statue brown wool. The rest of the leg wants to be dark blue wool, so just fill the rest of the leg in with dark blue. You then want to move up to the bottom of the arm. Fill the bottom of the arm in with white stained clay, as I'm doing now. You then want to do 2 rows of white stained clay, obviously, because we're just copying what we have on the left and right hand side. And I should point out, for the rest of the arm, you just want to copy what you have on the left and right of you. So the next row will, for instance, be white wool, followed by cyan, followed by white, followed by cyan, then 2 rows of white, 1 row of cyan, white, cyan. Get to the top of the arm, do the same thing, just copy the colour that you have on like the front and the back of you, and you'll end up with something that should look exactly like that, which is perfect. So the side of the arm actually doesn't look like this on the actual skin, but because of how skins work, how you can kind of have like 2-sided blocks and stuff, there's no actual way to copy the skin and have it in statue form. So we've just got to deal with this. The side of the arm doesn't actually look like this on the skin though. So once you've got that taken care of on one side, we want to do the exact same thing on the opposite side. So coming to the opposite side, we want to do 1 row of brown, followed by the rest of the rows being dark blue wool, so just fill the rest of the leg in with dark blue. Then fill the bottom of the hand in with white stained clay. Then do a couple of rows of white stained clay. Then of course we're now just basically copying whatever colour we have on the left and right hand side of us, guys, and that applies to the top of the shoulder as well, as you guys can see, and we just want to end up with something that should look exactly like this, don't we? That is what you want to have for the side of the statue. Perfect. Nice job, guys. Once you've got both of the sides of the statue taken care of, we can now move on to the head. So the head, we actually need a few more colours for this, which we'll grab before we move on. So discard your blues, we don't need them anymore, and grab yourselves some dark green wool and grab yourself some pink wool. We need that for the mouth and the eyes. Take out your white stained clay. On top of the top 8 blocks at the front of the top of the torso, stack a row of 8 white stained clay directly on top of those 8 blocks. You guys can see what I'm talking about. Then for the next row coming forward, you want to make this first block on the left black stained clay, then make the rest of the row white stained clay. Do the exact same thing to the row directly in front of it. Do 1 black stained clay, then an entire row of white stained clay otherwise. That is what you want to have for the first row of the face, despite the fact that the 2 middle blocks will also want to be pink, which I kind of forgot about. Knock out the 2 middle blocks, replace them with pink. I was busy focusing on other things. So that's the first row of the face. We're now going to build up the entire face, and then we can build up the rest of the head. So for the next row, guys, this is what you want to do next. So starting from the left hand side here, you want to do 2 black clay, then make the rest of the row white stained clay. For the next row, do 2 black stained clay, 1 dark green, then 2 white stained clay, 1 dark green, 1 white stained clay. For the next row, do 2 black stained clay, 1 dark green, 2 white stained clay, 1 dark green, 1 white, 1 black stained clay. For the next row, do 3 black stained clay, then 4 white clay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 black stained clay. For the next row, do 5 black stained clay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 white stained clay, 2 black stained clay. Then for the next 2 rows, do 2 solid rows of black stained clay. That'll be 1 and 2. And that is what you want to have for Stacy's face, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, that's perfect. That is Stacy's face. We do have a little alteration to me. As you guys might know, she has some hair that, well, is in front of her face. Let's add it. Starting from the bottom left-hand corner of the face, place a black stained clay right here. Then on top of that black stained clay, go up by 5. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then do 2 upright diagonals. 1, 2. Then go right of that second upright diagonal by 3. 1, 2, 3. Then go down by 1. Do a bottom left diagonal, go left 1, do 2 bottom left diagonals, 1, 2, and then go down until you reach that first black stained clay block. Fill in the center shape of what you've just made, and there you have her hair. That is exactly what you want to have hanging just in front of her face. Once you've got that taken care of, we can then move on to the rest of it. So come to the side of the head first of all. You guys can see where we have this black stained clay block right here. Well, on top of this, you want to stack a row of 4 white wool. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you want to go left by 1. Except you don't want a row of 4 because I'm an idiot, you actually want a row of 3. You want to do 1, 2, 3 and then go left by 1. I'm sorry about that, guys. What you then want to do is you want to do the exact same thing on the opposite side. So on top of this first white stained clay, 1, 2, 3, then go right by 1. Just to clarify, that is 3 right by 1. What you can then do is take out your black stained clay and you just want to do a row of black stained clay starting from the back of the head, and it wants to overhang the back of the statue by 2 rows. So starting from the very first row of the back of the head, you want to take your black stained clay and you just want to have it overhang the back of your statue by 2 rows. So drag it backwards until it does that. What you can then do is take the 2 back corners of the head, raise them up until they are equal height with the front of the head, connect them together, and also connect them to the front of the head to turn the head into a big giant cube shape. And what you can then do is just proceed to fill the cube shape in with black stained clay. So that's exactly what we're going to do, guys. You know what, the side of the head looks really weird how we have it. I have a feeling that I've made a slight error, but it looks kind of weird. I don't think it's a massive error, I think it's just the case of 1 block, but we can fix that quite easily. I'm going to have another look at it once we've actually filled in the rest of the head, but I don't think that it should be that shape. I think that it should just be completely black stained clay. I think that the first row of the head should have been black stained clay instead of white stained clay. It's kind of difficult to tell when you've got like hair overhanging it and stuff when you're making the plans, because you can't exactly, you can't see that well. But I think that I've made a slight error, but we can fix it very easily. So once you've completely filled in the head, guys, if you just want to come to both sides of the head, and instead of having this question mark looking thing, knock out the bottom block there, just so you have the ear here, and do the exact same thing on the opposite side. So coming to the opposite side here, just knock out that block, just so that you have the ear here. The left and right hand side should look different anyway, just because, of course, just because you've got like the face exposed on one side and you have it on the other side. But that's what the head wants to look like so far, guys, and that is actually the statue 100% complete. Or is it? You do have a choice. So if you also want to, you might want to kind of make a few more features on the statue 3D. You might want to take the hair on the front of the statue and you might want to extend it out by one row just to make it look a little bit more 3D, and that's just the black stained clay in front of her chest like that. You might just want to extend it out by one row. You might also want to come to the back, and the quiver that she has on the back, you might want to take the quiver and you might want to extend it out by one row if you so choose. If you just want to make it look a little bit more interesting, just extend out the brown stained clay like this. Is that supposed to be there? I have no idea. You know what, I think it is actually, because it's on the plans. But if you just want to take the quiver and you just want to extend it out by one row, and you might just want to take the arrow that's sitting in there as well and just extend it out by one row if you so choose. And that'll just make the statue look a little bit more interesting, because I mean the hair's 3D on the head, it may as well be 3D on the body as well, and the quiver might as well, because otherwise it just kind of melds into the back and it's a little bit boring. But that's the statue 100% fully complete, guys. Hopefully you like it, and hopefully you managed to make it. I actually quite like this statue. It's a little bit more different than some of the other YouTuber statues. It's got a little bit more going on. It's not so simple. But hopefully you guys like it. Hopefully you've managed to make it. If you have managed to do both of those things, guys, I'd really appreciate it if you could give this video a like, a favourite, a share, anything you'd feel like doing. Tell me how, guys. I would just always vastly appreciate it, as you guys know I do. Thank you very much for watching. Feel free to check out the card system and the links below down in the description for my various tutorial playlists and all of my other videos if you want. As I mentioned before in the start of this video, the description has all of my tutorial playlists all linked down there if you want. But the card system has more targeted playlists and videos pertaining to, this type of video that I think that you guys might enjoy. So, thank you very much for watching. Feel free to comment down below who you want to see me make next. I'm more than happy to make anyone that you guys want. Thank you very much for watching. Like, favorite, share if you wouldn't mind. That's an important thing. Like, favorite, share if you wouldn't mind. And I'll see you guys in the next video.